Hello and welcome back to Goldner Woodland Farm. I'm Keith. It's been quite a while since I posted a video, but I thought I'd give an update on how our heating and solar is working. This is our first full winter to be in the new place, and we're going through this deep freeze. So it's Tuesday, January 21st. It was, I don't know, right around zero, the temperature this morning, 0 degrees Fahrenheit. I think it's about 9 right now. It started getting really cold on Sunday, and I brought in started a new firewood tote on Sunday afternoon. Burned the boiler Sunday evening, probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours Sunday evening, and the tank temperature. So these two tanks each hold 400 gallons of water that the boiler heats up, and then that's used to run through the house, this building, the barn, and then over to the house. And up here on this scale, we can see the temperature in the tank. So right now, temperature is at 109 at the top of the tank and 85 in the lower section of the tank. Sunday evening, before I went to bed, when I checked it, that upper temperature was something like 135 or something like that. So I did not load the boiler late in the evening, and then it burns out sometime in the night. And then I didn't have to reload that until, so all day yesterday, it was, cold and windy. I think our high yesterday was something like 14. We were going to go away, visit some friends to watch the National Championship college football game. So I loaded the boiler about 3 o'clock, started the boiler about 3 o'clock, and we left about 7. That was the last time I put wood in it. And when we got home, that temperature again was something like, 135 degrees, something like that. And so what you see now at 109, it's going on noon on Tuesday, and last time I put wood in there was, again, last night around 7 o'clock. The temperature in this building, so this building is 40 by 80, real high ceiling. So the center here is almost 20 feet high, probably is 20 feet high. And all this piping back here radiates enough heat. So I do have radiant tubing through the floor, but we really, the thermostat's never come on. I have them set at 65, and it's got to be, probably 75 in here right now. And that's just from all that piping radiating, and a little bit from the tanks, even though they're insulated, radiating, heating this building. But just to give you an idea, so again, I've used probably about half of that tote to load this Sunday evening and then Monday evening, but keeping everything here warm and the house. So I'm gonna probably start this here again, and so this winter we've actually had cold weather. Again, that's our first full winter here. I had 18 of these totes full of wood, but the plan that we had was probably, so I have one of those for our wood fire sauna. I have one for, we have a small wood stove in the house, and then we have a solo stove out on the back porch. So just for, kind of campfires and ambiance sort of things. And then we had 2 of those that we were planning on using for our, we're we're gonna do maple syrup this year for the first time, and we have a wood-fired evaporator. So 2 of those totes were for that. So that was 4 out of the 18 that we really weren't planning on using for this boiler. But because it's been as cold as it is, and again, it's our first full winter, I'm not sure. We might end up having to go back to some of those. So I've got this partial one in here. I've got a full one, and then I still have, there are 5 out there, but again, 2 of those are, so there's 3 more full ones. At this stage, because it's as cold as it is, I'm probably gonna run out of that stuff, out of this wood that we have right now, probably by, I would guess, by mid-February. So I have other wood sort of stationed out there, but not cut up and split, but definitely, you know, logs that have been cut and brought out to my processing area. But just an update on the boiler's doing a great job keeping everything warm, using a little bit more wood than I expected because it's really been colder than we've ever had, and it's our first full year here. So that's an update. Something else I wanted to mention is that this wood boiler, so I'm just starting it up right now. I just lit it, so it's just gonna get going here, and then it will, up here on this little screen, it will tell me when it's time to close the door and that it's ready to go. But this back here is a backup tankless gas boiler. We have gas wells on the property, so we have access to free natural gas. One of the things that I've found is that in those days, or early in the winter, or even throughout the winter where we have warmer days, and like last year, we typically do get you know, a few days at various times where maybe it's up in the mid 40s or even 50s during the day, and that before we have another cold snap. But we really didn't start burning the wood boiler until around Thanksgiving, because that's when it really started to get cold and stay cold. So it's a challenge with the wood boiler if you just have like cold nights and then it warms up into, let's say, the 50s during the day. So that's what we've been using the gas boiler during those times, because it just comes on, heats up what it needs to heat up, and then goes off. If you're trying to run this wood boiler and then you've got these big tanks, you really need to have, or at least, again, this is what I've found, is you need to have where it's going to be maybe highs in the 40s and then lows in the low 30s or 20s overnight for a longer, you know, at least 3 or 4 days in a row, for it to really make sense to light up the wood boiler. But you know, when we have this long stretches of real cold, the wood boiler is doing great, and so we've really been using it pretty consistently since about Thanksgiving. We have had a few times where, you know, we have 3 or 4 days or 2 or 3 days where it's not quite as cold, and then I just let the wood boiler go out and use the gas boiler. But I mean, you know, we're supposed to have some kind of crazy, I don't know, -9 tonight. And I think high single digits for our high today, and then, you know, again, -9 actual temperature overnight tonight, and the wood boiler will do a great job for that. And but that's just something that I've learned, that having the combination of the two really helps us anyway, to manage those sort of warmer days. And then we also do have electric heat pump, where we can use them as well. This is an automatic transfer switch for the heating system. So right now it's set on auto backup, which means that if the wood boiler goes, burns out and we're not here and we don't restart it, and we need some heat, it will automatically fire up the gas backup, and, you know, keep everything working like it's supposed to. See, it says close the door was the boiler got up to temperature. So here's where we could see, and it's been, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes for it to get going, but it's ready to go. So then we just close this door, and then close the outside door, and it's up and running. And like I said, the tank right now is at 109 at the top. Yeah, so that will should burn kind of as hot as it can. And then to the extent that we have demand in the house, so we've got, these are the main zones. So these 3 zones are for this building. That zone over there runs down into Thermopex that goes underground over to the house. And then this control unit, this bottom light that's lit up, is the house zone. So right now, and really what we're seeing the whole time pretty much right now, because there's so much heat that's just coming out of all this piping that keeps this building warm, is the zone is really just that one that runs over to the house to keep the house warm. And then in the house we have 3 zones over there. So I'm in my office. I'll give you a little update on solar production. So we're in Western Pennsylvania. We're in January, and right now it's actually a pretty sunny day, but we have snow. So I'm going to show you the output from our solar inverters to give you an idea how things are going. So this is the current reading from our solar inverters. I'll show you a picture, a view of the panels up on the roof. So we have over 18K, so 18,000 watts of panels up on the roof. It's about noon. It actually is noon, and it's a somewhat sunny day today. But right now, out of 18,000, we're only making 727 watts. What this shows us down here is we're using 1,000 watts. So we're pulling from our batteries for the difference that we aren't making up. And that's because there's snow on the panels. But one of the other things you could do is we can scroll down through here and look at this day by day, this is day by day down here. And it's really kind of hard to see, but there's a little blue bar on each of these, which is the solar production. And then the orange bar is our consumption. So if we go to this page here, what we see is we produced 3 kilowatts, but we used 24 kilowatts. So if you look here in January, if you look at this little blue bar relative to the orange bar, we have not had one day in January where we've produced enough electricity from our solar, even with 18K of panels. And really, if we have one decent hour, that would almost cover what we use for the day. And if I go back 1 month, so this is December. So what we see in December, so far January we'd not have one day, and then towards the end of December, we also had 4 or 5 days where we didn't produce. But then what you see here is on the 27th, 26th, the blue bar, is bigger than the orange bar. So here's a day, the 27th, we produced 43, almost 44 kilowatt hours of electricity. On the 26th, 54. And then, we had early in the month, we had a bunch of really good days, 60 kilowatt hours, 62, 59. I mean, these are the kinds of things that we have the capacity to produce when we have nice sunny days and we don't have snow on the panels. But for us here in Western PA, we definitely have these periods where, and you you just can't have enough batteries that would get you through, basically, I mean, we've had 25 days in a row where we've not produced as much as we've used. So we have to have a backup. We have a natural gas generator, which we can run for 2 or 3 hours a day, and that will load up our batteries enough to get us through the rest of the day until the next day, and we see. But again, first winter being here full time and actually seeing consumption and how our production is, and then having snow on the panels. We had a couple days ago, it warmed up and we had rain. All the snow came off the panels, but it was rainy and cloudy. Still didn't produce enough. And then, the next day we got snow again. So I'll take you out and show you the panels so you can see, what things look like right now. And, now we're down to producing, 500 watts. So here's our solar panels up on the roof. What we see is right now, maybe a third of them are exposed and maybe 2/3 are under snow. I mean, we don't have a lot of snow. It's only maybe an inch or two, but super, super cold, and probably some frost on those panels. So hopefully with this sun out, even though it's super cold, maybe we'll start producing a little bit more. Here you can see the smoke. That's the smoke from our wood boiler. So not a lot of smoke coming out of there, and it really just dissipates really quickly. A couple other things to note. We installed this system, the system of inverters at the end of February. So we have just under, we have about 11 months of history with them. And during that time, we produced 12,000 kilowatts or 12 megawatts over that time. And if I scroll down here again and look back at, so I showed you, this is January, this is December. But if we go back a few more months, what you see is the rest of the year, we very consistently, almost every day, produce more. The blue line, the blue bar is higher than the orange bar virtually every day. As you go back, really the rest of the year, except for, the end of, really even November, we were in that situation. This is August, and even the scale. So like this scale goes up to 70 kilowatts. And you can see how many of these days, we had plenty of power, not just to run, everything in the house, but also to charge our Rivian EV. Basically every day, every month, until we get to, December and January. And so it'll be interesting to see, because we didn't have this in place in February last year. So starting really in March, and beyond, this was much more typical of what we had. But that's just the situation here in Western PA when you get into the winter. So this is November. You can see the scale is much lower, and we still have plenty of days where we produce more than we used, but we also had these periods where where we fell short. And then the beginning of December was pretty good, but then we ran into this period really from about the 15th. We had 1, 2, 3 from the 15th on. We really only had 3 days where we produced more than we used. And then so far in January, not a single day. So we're running the generator every day for at least a couple hours. That gets us through, charges the batteries back up, and then that gets us through the rest of the day. If you have any questions or comments, drop them below, and I'll try to get back to you. Thanks for watching.